This is a book about political power and inequality. It shows how the collusion between political and corporate power affects the distribution of incomes. Its most important goal is to offer a novel perspective on the long-run origins of inequality by introducing the concept of elite networks and examining their effects on the distribution of power and incomes. Inequality is a man-made yet persistent condition of human history ever since the agricultural revolution. It is by no means a modern phenomenon, nor is it linked to one economic system. It has been present to a varying level of intensity during prehistoric times, in ancient civilizations, during feudalism, and in modern times in both capitalist and socialist economic systems. In pre-modern Malthusian societies, poverty was a widespread constant. Living standards for the vast majority of the population were abysmal, while a small ruling class owned 90% of all societal wealth. In order to achieve above subsistence income during those times, people could either engage in wars, generating wealth via violent extraction, or by being lucky enough to be born into the ruling class, which typically gained its status through violence at some point in their history. Inequality was high, but it also fluctuated and typically decreased only as a consequence of adverse events like wars, pandemics, or societal upheavals. In modern societies, particularly since the mid-20th century, we are witnessing a decline of poverty and an unprecedented increase in living standards for the first time in human history. Inequality, however, still persists, given that forces determining inequality are different from forces that used to keep populations stranded in poverty and dismal living standards. The argument presented in this book is that there exists a constant force among humans, an incentive rooted deeply within our behavioral patterns that is responsible for persistently pushing inequality up. This does not imply that we have to justify it or endure it. Quite the contrary. But in order to solve it, we first need to understand its root causes. Which brings us to the second goal of this book, defining elite networks. Elite networks are informal social networks between politicians in power and top corporate executives or owners of politically connected firms, where personal ties and long-term interactions build trust and loyalty between involved actors. Both groups draw benefits from these interactions. Politicians stay in power and may extract bribes and other favors, while firms are rewarded with exclusive government contracts, favorable regulation, or direct subsidies. Top corporate executives successfully acquire rents for their firms as a result of their elite network interactions and are rewarded by their firms with higher salaries.